I'm immigration lawyer Mark Northam.
And I'm registered migration agent Gruszka.
And on this special episode of the Migration Show, we're going to reveal shocking government figures that show a massive failure rate in the new Capstone Assessment that all new RMAs must take or they don't get to be RMAs.
We know that you've wanted it, and finally we have the results, so stay tuned.
Welcome to the Migration Show with Mark Northam and Gruszka, the show for Australian migration agents and immigration lawyers, where we talk about the latest Australian immigration law, policy and much more, including your questions. Information discussed on the Migration Show is not intended as legal advice or immigration assistance and is current as of the date of the show's production. However, as migration law frequently changes, you should always refer to updated information. And now, from Sydney, the hosts of the Migration Show, immigration lawyer Mark Northam and registered migration agent Gruszka.
I'm Mark Northam. Welcome to the Migration Show. As always, my co-host, Ms. Gruszka.
Good to be here again, and this is exciting, really exciting times, because the last time we had a press release was to do with the deregulation bill with regards to lawyers.
And lots of interesting things from last year we got to blow the lid off of. Well, here we go again, folks. We have just received yesterday shocking government figures that show a massive 87% failure rate in the Migration Agent Capstone Exam.
Let's reiterate that for a little bit. Mark, say that again.
It would be 87%. But let's look at the details. And folks, we are making all these government documents that we've received through FOI available to you for download. Have a look for yourself.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about what the Capstone Exam is. This was a new requirement. The first intake was the middle of last year.
July, right?
Yep, July. And this exam now is a separate exam that people must take and pass after they complete the new graduate diploma program.
And how much is that course? Let's just set this up.
What's that, about 20 grand?
20 to 25,000.
So you spend that much money, you pass all your exams because you can't take the capstone unless you complete the grad dip.
Absolutely, which is intense. It's intense.
And these are not people just having a crack at it. No. These are people who the universities around Australia have already said, you pass. You have all the knowledge you need per the knowledge requirements laid out by OMARA to become a migration agent.
Correct. And now, so what happened is the capstone eventuated recently.
Yep, we started hearing things about this.
Yes.
A few months ago, we were approached by some students.
Oh, we were approached.
Several students, in fact.
Absolutely, and they were fantastic.
Yep, these are some very brave souls because, frankly, they are standing up to the establishment. They're standing up to all the major power players that run this thing. And what they were telling us is very simple. They said, most people are failing. It's not fair.
That's right.
Students think that the exam was designed to fail.
Absolutely.
Now, I haven't seen the exam, so I don't have an opinion on that, but I've seen the numbers, and you're going to see the numbers too.
Yes, exactly. So at the end of the day, it's very objective because the numbers don't lie. Now, when we talk about these figures with you, we want you to understand it's not just from one particular university. The graduate dip in migration law is offered through several universities.
That's right.
So I want to make it very clear, it's not one or any other one particular university that is showing a growth or a particular failure rate. It is across the board.
So what we asked the government for, we asked the government to tell us who is the subject matter expert that was contracted by the College of Law who won the tender to administer this thing.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, if we can just elaborate on that. Yep. So what happened, Mark, with regards to the capstone arising? Where did it come from and why did it happen?
Well, we can go back into the history books and have a look, but this was one of the requirements or one of the suggestions that came, I believe, out of the Kendall report.
That's right. What year was that? 2017?
Well before that.
Wow, okay.
Several years before that, in fact. But that's it. And of course, the The LCA, the lawyers, definitely lobbied for this in their submissions last year. If you might recall, they absolutely thought that this was something, a separate exam for graduating RMAs to see if they've got what it takes. And indeed, they have been successful. And this exam was implemented last year after the beginning of the grad dip requirement, which was the January before, January of 2018. So the exam has been, there was a tender process, we understand, and we understand that two of the top players in the tender process were the MIA and the College of Law. Now, the College of Law is most famous probably for its PLT program, which is a graduate program that lawyers have to take, either there or someone else, before they can get a practicing certificate. Now, we have attempted to reach out to the College of Law, and the response we've gotten essentially is that we're looking at it.
For quite some time.
Yeah, that we haven't heard much from them on this.
Correct.
But they did respond finally. Now, what really got our attention were the stories from students whose careers now lie in ruin because they cannot pass the test.
Absolutely.
Graduates from the graduate diploma programs. I don't think these students saw this coming.
No, no one would have.
And, you know, these are people, until they can pass this test, they don't become an RMA.
Even though they finish and complete
25K worth of grad dip.
and they pass.
Ka-ching.
And the people that we've spoken with, the students that have come to us are not just pass, and it doesn't matter if it's pass. I mean, I just wanted to get in and get out. But these people, the frustration is this particular students that have failed the capstone exam are the ones that are sitting on distinction average. Now, that is an absolute load of rubbish.
Hooey, as we say in Texas.
Hooey.
So,
Hooey, I like it.
let us tell you about the FOI. Let us give you the shocking numbers, and let's see what happens next.
Okay.
Again, a number, you can download this document yourself. The government released yesterday pass-fail information on the three intakes of the exam, capstone exam so far.
Yes. So, July 2018, Mark, how many candidates participated in the exam?
Well, we had a total of 14 candidates. Now, that might not be surprising, given that you had to have completed the grad dip by that program.
That's right.
I think there's also there may be a situation where if you completed the grad cert, but you waited too long, you had to take this too. But
all right.
Either way, there were total of 14 candidates who took the July 2018 capstone exam, and this is all of Australia.
Yep. Not one university or any particular university.
Nope.
It's across all universities that were in the program at that period of time.
That's what we asked them
How
for.
many failed, Mark?
Well, I'm sorry to say, well, let's say how many passed. How about that? Are you ready?
Ready? How many passed?
Drum roll, please. A grand total of 2.
Wow. Stop it.
12 failed.
12.
2 passed.
So the percentage is 86% failed. Let's go.
What this means is, as of the middle of last year, it should have been very clear to all the people and companies and organizations involved in creating and administering this test that there's a problem. 86% failure means, in my humble opinion, one of two things.
Yes.
Either, number one, all the colleges are not teaching or delivering the material correctly.
Absolutely.
Or, number two, the test has a problem.
That's it. Absolutely. November 2018, Mark, how many number of candidates participated in the capstone exam?
Well, we're up to 21 for that one.
All
so
right.
21 took the exam in November of last year.
How many failed?
17.
So that's another percentage of 81%.
81% of the people
failing.
taking the capstone in November 2018 failed.
And then February 2019, number of candidates that participated in the capstone exam, Mark?
This goes up to 96, and that
Wow.
makes sense because the grad dip is a one-year program, so they were probably taking the grad dip
That's it.
during calendar 2018.
And
They're
how
ready
many-
to do
yeah.
the exam.
Here we go. Drum roll.
96 people took the capstone exam in February 2019. The number of people who passed is
11.
11. 85 people out of 96 failed the capstone exam. That's an 89% failure rate. So if you take the totals and put them all together, 87%.
What do you get? 87%.
That is a consistent problem. That isn't a glitch or an abnormality or an anomaly. That is a consistent and repeating pattern of a massive failure rate for this exam.
And that is when you need
Well, that's when these students just started doing whatever they could because they realized that with these kind of numbers, there's a huge problem.
That's right.
And until this problem is fixed, these people have got a problem. Now, I suppose you could say, I guess they should study harder, but wait a minute. They graduated the grad dip program.
So it's a total contradiction.
So what's going on here?
A lot of people that I was hoping to join and get in and do some work experience with me and get their, potentially employ them, I can't. And
Same problem here.
Exactly. And one particular a student who avoided now taking the capstone, is boycotted, has absolutely transferred industries. Just given it up. Now, my question is, do we think that this is a catalyst for attrition? And in my opinion, I believe it is. I believe that the registered migration agent profession is on its way out in this sense if we don't do something about it. Mark, what have we discussed previously regarding the relationship of the deregulation bill and what we have here?
Well, as listeners to our show last year when we were a podcast and now we're a video show, well, remember we gave extensive coverage to the submissions by the Law Council of Australia, Immigration Law Committee that argued for a lot of things. It had some very bad things to say about migration agents and their knowledge, and this was one of the things they fought for. And lo and behold, what happens? This is, you can see the numbers. This is choking off the supply of new RMAs to the industry.
That's it.
If since July of last year, only 17 out of the 131 people who tried to take the test got through, what does that do to our industry? I'm looking for RMAs. She's looking for RMAs.
I can't find them.
And who benefits from the supply of new RMAs being choked off?
That's it. Well, we know that potentially lawyers who are looking to practice in the field of immigration or migration, it makes it a lot easier for them to jump into it.
Well, eliminate the competition, huh?
Eliminate the competition. Now,
what we have coming up next is an interview that we taped back in the last week of March.
Yes.
Now, when the students came to us, a very brave student named Arnab wanted to do an interview, and we said that's great. We interviewed this. We taped this back the last week of March. We had put in the FOI request a few days before that when we started hearing about all this. The FOI request took twice as long as it should have.
Yes.
But since we finally have it, we're now going to release to you, and it's coming up next, the interview we did with Arnab. I would like to qualify that in the Arnab, at the time we taped the Arnab interview, all we had was information, anecdotal information from the students about the failure rate.
Yes.
We didn't know what it was. So the numbers you hear being tossed around in the interview, please consider them replaced by the numbers you have heard today, which come directly from the government.
This is why it feels so sweet to do this.
Well, it's...
We were waiting and waiting and waiting, and then we got the FOI. Oh.
And you've got to admire a guy like Arnab and the other students that we're going to be interviewing.
Absolutely.
Letters from students you're going to be hearing. These people are standing up to some very, very powerful forces in this industry.
But when you've lost everything and you've got nothing left to lose, you're in the best position to negotiate. And these people have come. They're not afraid. They're happy to share their name and their experiences because they've lost it. That's all I want to say on that.
Well, enough about us. We're going to move on. Coming up in a moment here, you'll hear our interview that was taped on 30th of March with Arnab. You'll hear some more information over the coming episodes about more reports from students. And I would ask you, RMAs out there, what are you willing to do to help save this industry?
Because if you run a company and you require the support of registered migration agents,
if you want to grow, you've got to get staff.
This is going to affect you. We can't recruit. I can't grow. It affects us on many levels. In the financial capacity, absolutely. We want to keep expanding. There is a need for it, and we can't do it.
We again issue an open invitation to anyone from Nomos,
yes,
anyone from the College of Law,
and we'll be very
or
kind.
anyone else who has something to do with this,
yes,
to come and we are happy to give you equal airtime that we're giving to the students, so you can help all of us better understand what's going on here.
It's been a pleasure to talk to you. Stay tuned.
Our interview with Arnab from March coming right up. We have a very special guest appearing with us live from Melbourne. We'd like to welcome Mr. Arnab Ghosh Roy, who is essentially has taken on the responsibility of being the leader of a sizable group of students who either have taken the Capstone exam or about to take the Capstone exam and are not very happy about the very high failure rate. A lot more. Welcome to the show, Arnab.
Welcome. How are you? All the way from Melbourne, Victoria.
Fantastic. Thanks for the opportunity to allow me to speak up today in your program. I am Arnab from Melbourne, Victoria University for the graduate diploma in migration law. The reason is the fair go. Australia is a country set up on the fair go, and we don't feel this exam is a fair go towards the new migration agent students. That's the reason we raised up this issue.
Okay. Whereabouts are you in the system? So are you in your final year, or have you sat the exam? Where are you on kind of the treadmill of becoming a registered migration agent?
I'm in the final year. Basically, I'm doing the last unit, LML 6008. So once I finish in June, I will be allowed to sit in the exam, which if I go to the current system, I will be sitting in September 2019. But I had ample number of senior students who had failed. So I'm very concerned about this current scenario, and I had raised my voice.
Let's talk about that. Now, you say there are ample number of students have failed. Do you have any, in the groups of students you've spoken to, do you have any statistics? Because frankly, at least as of the date that we're speaking, which is the 30th of March, which the show is going to air on Monday in a couple of days, we have not been able to get any information from the College of Law or from the Department of Home Affairs as to the failure rate for this exam. But we're hearing reports all over the internet that the failure rate is quite high. What kind of numbers do you have that you could report to us?
Okay, so under my petition, there is more than 450 students, and among that has been confirmed 212 students have sit in the exam. So among that, 5 students only passed. The College of Law is very secretive.
Let's say that again.
Let's just wait a second. That's what a number. Now,
that is phenomenal.
Now we're talking about the petition online, and we're going to put the link to that on our webpage.
Yes.
But putting aside the number of people who have signed the petition, which is fantastic, but how many people do we know that have sat the exam that you have the results for? Did you say 200 and some odd?
Wow.
Yes, I repeat the number, 212. So College of Law is very secretive on this matter, and College of Law didn't provide any numbers, but from my group, I know 212 people have sit in this exam.
Okay, and that's sat at least one of the iterations of the exam that's been offered since July, or are we talking about just one offering of the exam?
The last offering of the exam since July.
Right.
The last one. When was the last one? Was that in February?
The last one is in the February intake.
Right.
2019.
So you've got 212 students who have come to you and said, I took the exam in the February intake of the Migration Agent's Capstone exam. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
and
right.
out of those 212, and again, this is self-reported information.
Yes.
But I would think a student probably wouldn't have any reason to say, hey, I failed, if they didn't fail.
No, absolutely.
So let's get to the number here.
Absolutely not.
Out of 212 students who have reported to you that they took the Capstone exam just in February, never mind the several previous offerings of this exam, how many of those 212 students have reported to you that they passed?
Only 5 of them passed. The one who has passed, 5 of the students.
Let's just sit this in. Let's say it again, because this is
out of 212.
So what's the percentage of that? I'm not a mathematician here. I'm a migration agent.
That sounds like about 3%, if I had to guess.
Wow, 3% out of what we know from 212 who have sat the exam in the last intake. No,
that's just the February intake.
Yeah, the last one, which was February.
Arnab, let's talk about your concerns and the concerns you're hearing from other students who have sat the exam. Can you sort of lay them out for us? Why is this exam perhaps not fair? And maybe why do you think the failure rate, based on your numbers, 97% failure rate, is so high?
As per my understanding, we are students. We are not 100%. That's very much. We are learning still. We are in the process of learning, and what I believe, this is not a course where you can learn 100% in one day. It will take time, considerable amount of time. The academic platform will give me a level of understanding where I can start my practice under some senior like you, who can coach me. I can develop my passion. And one of the professor from Murdoch University had recommended that, which Omar didn't gave any consideration for that, and Omar went for this exam. So if I sit this exam and somehow I was, say, God blessed student and I passed this exam, that doesn't mean that I'm 100% in my service. But this exam is categorically designed to fail the student, because they're giving such a complicated and critical scenario in 15 minutes time. If somebody very well experienced professor or lecturer or the practitioner come to us and give a very complicated, very critical scenario, and in 15 minutes time I just get to prepare, how can I advise my client in 15 minutes a complicated scenario? Complicated scenario may takes from 1 day even to 2 days to do my legal research, do my legal understanding. So that's one thing is concerned. And another thing is the level of the questions they are asking. It's not about we do those things in the practice. So in the practice, we need to first write down the file notes. We go through the legal citations and everything. We need time to answer those things. It's not possible in 15 minutes.
And part of your concern is that the complexity of the questions is just not appropriate for someone that's just coming out of the grad dip course. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay. Now, as far as I understand, you have approached some different people about your concerns and representing this group of hundreds of students. What kind of reaction have you received from other people?
I have received a lot of support from the industry, from practitioner, the senior practitioner in the industry, couple of barristers, and especially from the Migration Alliance. They have put the moral support towards our cause and concerns, and they believe what we believe. And same goes to you. Definitely, you are supporting us by allowing me to sit in your platform today.
Well, we're happy to have you. And you know, in our industry, so many people, even in the face of injustice and unfairness, are unwilling to stand up and say something, and you are. So we applaud you.
We applaud you, absolutely.
I mean, you know, you're standing up to the Omara, you're standing up to the College of Law, and you're saying something's not right here. And, you know, that's very much to be commended. Now, we noticed that Leanna Allen of the Migration Alliance, she was very vocal, and she had her postings.
Absolutely. Who else have you approached?
Have you, out of all fairness to the peak body, have you approached the MIA, and have you heard back from them?
I didn't hear back from the MIA. We had approached MIA. We had approached Minister of Immigration. We approached Migration Alliance. Migration Alliance are backing us. Liana is very, very supportive, and she had provided her moral support to us, which give us a moral boosting. Because also being a student and I'm about to join in this industry, I'm scared to raise my voice. I'm very skeptical. I was very skeptical in initial stage because I had spent like $22,000 to study this course, and I'm a family man. I have to run my family also. So I was very skeptical to come in this one, but somehow I managed that courage and I came in this platform today. I don't know what will happen with me also. And I hope so, nothing goes wrong. And we want to abolish this capstone. We are not against the capstone exam or raising the standard, but we supporting more with the professor from Murdoch University, Marianne, what she says that supervised clinical understanding, and the clinical understanding only give us to become a better RMA in the future and to carry on this profession.
Right. Well, that's just fair enough. I totally agree with our work placement program. Now, so you've contacted. So, what was the date that you said that you contacted the Migration Institute of Australia?
27th of March 2019.
Yes, and did you contact the Omara? Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry to cut you off. And did you contact the Omara as well? And what date did you contact the Omara?
27th of March 2019.
So that's when you pulled the trigger on all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. What is, if I might ask, what is the personal impact of this on you, your family, your studies, and your career as an RMA?
Personal impact as family, my wife is very skeptical about the thing. Like she's a bit scared why I'm doing this one, but she's also supportive. And in terms of my study, it's not been impacted. I'm a mature age student, and I study as per my own time, and I study as per my own plan. It's not been impacted, but I am very concerned what's going to happen. And because I've spent it like almost now one, I'm a part-time student, I'm doing a full-time job, so I got mortgage to pay. I had put all my energy and resources. I come back to home and I study 3 a.m. in the morning. I wake up early morning at 8 o'clock to start my full-time job. So it's not easy life for me. I have taken this challenge to do something with what I believe. I myself a migrant. I can understand the feelings of the migrant. So I started doing this one, and this is something I want to do. So I study a lot. I constantly study. Even in my lunch break, I'm studying about court cases. So I'm very passionate.
Right.
So it doesn't impact my study.
Arnab, tell me about this boycott that's occurring.
Okay, that's a very good question. We had requested all the students in the group to boycott this exam, put a pause on College of Law May intake exam. So altogether right now, I think 67 students has withdrawn the money they had deposited to the College of Law. In dollar figure, 67 students. In the dollar figure, it may come up to $184,250.
Whoa, $184,000.
Is that the Amara and the College of Law are going to miss out on?
We're still trying to figure out how that money gets split, how much goes to the College of Law and how much goes to the government. But so these students essentially have withdrawn from the exam based on the concerns of the upcoming, the May, I guess. The exam's offered 4 times a year. That's
right. So, but that means you've put your life on hold and your career on hold, and you can't practice. What were your intentions after you sat your exam, provided you had passed? What were your plans for your future? What did you intend on doing?
My plans for the future, I want to work under some senior migration practitioner or some senior immigration lawyer, because I want to develop my skill.
Right.
And that's my future plan. In a short-term basis, in long-term basis, I want to open up my own office, or I want to do a partnership. That's for the long term, but at this stage, I want to learn more and more.
Okay.
Great.
Right. Well, that's really good. But so you're at the moment, your life is at a pause. Unfortunately, it seems. Well, that's devastating news. My goodness. So 67 students boycotting, which would mean approximately $185,000. That's going to be pulled. I mean,
well, maybe that'll make a dent in the College of Law. Maybe they'll start responding to so many questions that we and others are asking them.
Well, no one's had a reply.
We did get one reply. The first email I sent the College of Law, we did get a reply, and they said that the petition, referring to Arnab's petition, was, quote, inaccurate. But when we asked them which parts of it were inaccurate and what's the failure rate and a number of other questions, that was the last we heard from them.
No, we haven't heard of anything with regards to the statistics. And how, this is...
it's really...
I'm lost for words.
Well, I was going to say that about the same thing. Look, Arnab, what are the next steps? And if there are other people who want to get involved and support these graduating RMA students, if there are RMAs in the business like Monica and myself and people that want to lend some support to this, what can they do?
The next step in this process, what we are thinking, like to go for a rally, go for like a mute drama performed in a street, how as you put the picture in the background, that's very real, very logical.
There we go. Rest in peace, RMAs.
Rest in peace.
RMAs are resting in peace.
And what do we call it? It's the what stone?
It's not the capstone exam. It's either, what do we call it?
The tombstone exam or the crapstone
exam.
Exactly. So what is our plan? We want to post a drama in the Federation Square in the Melbourne and saying like how I am running a family by acting a drama, but there would be no talks because we are shut out basically. So there will be no talks, and we're going to post a drama that how we are being rest in peace. And our strong belief is that Mark has done a great to this profession, but Mark need to give his experience and the responsibility to us to run in the future. And Mark need to rest in, he need to have retirement. He need to have a great retirement, and he need to have a happy life. So we need to take the responsibility of Mark and give it back to the industry, I need to learn from Mark how great this profession can be. And not by the creating the exam, it's but by working with Mark, by following the shadow of Mark, by listening Mark. It's not by giving an exam. The exam we had given in university, 8 exams, 16 assignments.
The problem is that if the exam is the block. Unless you pass the exam, you can't get the license.
We passed the university exam, which gives the
and those, I'm guessing those university exams are not easy, are they?
That's not easy.
That's right. And let's not forget that the OMARA has, I believe, the ability to dictate or at least control the assessable items on those exams. So it's not like some university, some rogue university, can just make up a real simple, easy exam and say,
Well, it's been
which
changed.
visa replaced the 457.
Well, that's right. What's to do it's a graduate diploma. So number one, it's changed.
It's a one-year full-time program.
It's a one-year full-time program.
$24,000.
$24,000 approximately. Most people would do a part, kudos to those who do it full-time, and you have a family and you're postgrad, or you're working and you've got bills and mortgage. That's exactly right. Even when I did the graduate certificate, I couldn't even do it full-time. I had to do it part-time. It's just not realistic. So those people who do it and then have sat the capstone, and the rug's been pulled out right under their feet.
From a 97% alleged failure rate. And by the way, we're happy to correct that number.
We were happy.
If the government would like to give us the actual pass rate
statistics,
of
we'd love
each
it.
of the offerings since July.
Yes.
But we're hearing uniformly that it is a less than 10% pass rate.
Yes.
These are anecdotal evidence, but that's what we're hearing.
And we're hearing average distinction students completing and failing.
Because you can't take the exam unless you've already got the grad diploma.
Well, that's right. So it doesn't make any sense. Even mathematically, how could you be an average distinction HD student, which we are hearing, and fail the capstone? But what we're hearing is that the capstone is not set up to pass. It's a matter of fact, you cannot
that's what
physically.
Arnab said.
You cannot. There's no time.
It's designed to fail.
Yeah, you cannot
and that's
complete
designed to fail
in time.
Well, now Arnab, you had one other thing you wanted to add about a professor you mentioned.
I want to add this one. So Professor Mary Ann Kenny of Murdoch University. So Mary Ann Kenny has submitted a submission to the Parliament, submission number 14, on dated 2nd of May 2018. His concern was 10 years, over that 10-year period, a court professor over the 10-year period of the School of Law worked closely with MARA and the other institution on delivery of the course and developing the course curriculum. The course curriculum is been rigidly audited by the OMARA and Murdoch University. And Murdoch University had advised to Kendall Review Committee, and also Murdoch University, from the Murdoch University, the professor, Mary Ann, had advised that supervised training is been more beneficial for the students to develop their current level of knowledge requirement and not a capstone exam. But the government or the OMARA didn't accept that.
Right.
That
must have been to the migration agent's inquiry that was.
Oh yes.
Cooking
and I can show you
Yes.
this one. That's the paperwork I got printed.
Yeah, we'll put that on the site. Well, Arnab, thank
I
you
will
very,
send you.
very much. Thank you very, very much for giving of your time, for all the effort you've put in so far on the petition, all the effort you're putting in, very bravely, so I might add, to organize students against what you see is a very, very unfair exam. And we're with you all the way. You tell us where the rally is, and we'll be there with bells on.
Absolutely. We will. Keep us posted.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Monica.
A
Thanks for
pleasure.
your time.
A
Thank
pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Well, there you heard it. Mr. Arnab Ghosh Roy, and he talked about his experience with his exam and the fear of the exam and what the fact that the exam appears to be so unfair in his view that he's essentially had to put everything on hold.
What a shame. Not very Australian, is it?
Well,
Not constitutional.
uh-oh. You know,
The C word, Mark.
that's right. You know, Arnab isn't the only one we're hearing from. We're hearing from a lot of people, and we're going to put them on the show. We're going to put them in front of you. We also, again, will extend an offer to anyone from the College of Law or the O'Mara or the Department of Home Affairs. Come on the show. Explain the test. Give us the statistics. We've already put in a Freedom of Information Act request for those statistics.
Oh, we're looking forward to the answer on that one.
We'll see. At this point, the students have been denied the statistics, we're told.
That's
They
correct.
tried to get it. They wouldn't give them to them.
No.
Something about national security.
Of course.
Well, of course.
Well, terrorism?
I don't know. I think I'd be a bit terrified if I had to sit that test right now.
I would,
How about you?
I'm dead set sure I
There's
would
your
be
terrorism
passing.
right there. Anyway, we'll be back next week with another show all about the capstone. More students, more stories, and more opportunities for all of us to do something
potentially
about
more
it.
graveyards.
Well, there we go. The graveyard's going to be back. It's going to be here for a couple of weeks, folks.
That's it.
We-
Get used to it.
We'll see you next week.
See you then. Thank you for joining us.
This episode of The Migration Show is sponsored by Christopher Levingston and Associates.
Yes, Christopher is a accredited immigration lawyer and has been for many years, and he has a wonderful offer for all you registered migration agents or anyone else in the field who needs a review on a failed AAT case.
That's it. If you have had an AAT case that did not get a positive result, Christopher has a standing offer for all RMAs to give you a free review of that case and give you advice as to whether there may be possibilities of taking it to the federal court or elsewhere. So if you have a unsuccessful AAT case or any other question, please send it to Christopher by email.
Yes, email is christopher@levingston.com.au, christopher@levingston.com.au.